Alright, so anyways, it's actually pretty fortuitous that Andrew decided to ask about Ta Chuan because
also,
that's actually
if
one
you
of
go
the main
sit,
styles
you
that
can have free pizza.
the main style that I teach is called Ta Chuan, really long fist.
Yeah, I heard.
Ta Chuan is classified as a style of long fist. There's also a northern style of Wushu. It's called northern because it's in the northern territories of China. They say north of the Yangtze River, shit like that. In modern Wushu, what they did was that they took all the standardized traditional Wushu or Gongfu forms, all the Chinese martial arts, and they standardized them together to make it a sport. That's why it's called modern Wushu or contemporary sport Wushu. And Ta Chuan was one of the primary styles. In fact, it's the most obvious style that you can see in long fist or Chang Chuan, which is the main style that I teach. It's pretty much the first style that you learn when you come and try out the Wushu practice, right? The Taolu, right? So now that I have a direction to get off of, I can actually show a video. No, not sounds. Okay. All right, Max, you later.
Take it easy.
Bye, Max. Okay, so this is another demonstration of Ta Chuan. Okay, just to keep in mind, the demonstration that Mr. Geng gave us is obviously very different than the traditional style that I'm going to show you right now. This is the one that modern Wushu took from. And actually, if you think about traditional Gongfu or Kung Fu or Chinese martial arts, whatever you want to call it, traditional is kind of a misnomer. There's no one way to do it. I guarantee you, if you ask another teacher besides Mr. Geng to teach you the same style, it's not going to be done the same way at all. Might be under the same method, but totally different interpretation. So, with that in mind, this is what another performance of what traditional
Sort of. It
is.
says it's all
Same
an
form.
hour.
Keep in mind, same form is called Silu Ta Chuan.
I don't know how accurate that is.
Ta Chuan style. But
I lied.
Ta Chuan number 4. Ta Chuan is one of the dominant styles of traditional Chinese martial arts. It originated in Guan County of the province of Shandong during the reign of Qi.
okay, so that last clip was actually Grandmaster Zhang Lingmei, and as I said, she was actually one of the coaches of the Sanshou Wushu team, of the modern Wushu team. So that was she was a coach. Who wants to see her top student?
You? It's totally you.
Sure, if I was 40.
You're not. It's you.
Yeah, all us Asian people, we don't age from the age of 20 to what, 60?
Dude, that's pretty racist. I mean, you're right.
Racist, I mean, you're right. Okay, this is her top student. He was, he is considered the best in modern Wushu in the style of Chang Chuan. So, okay, so what happened was, her student is a modern Wushu Taolu forms champion. His name is Yuan Wenqing, and he's considered the best.
Guys.
And in my opinion, he is.
Just watch it.
Not everyone's doing it. Not everyone's
okay.
Okay, so most of you might recognize this video. It's the intermediate or second Chang Chuan form that I teach here. And I teach it because I like it. In my opinion, it's pretty much better than any other long physical posting form out there.
Yeah.
But the point is that, what was my point? The point is that I wanted to choose this video because despite the fact that he's a modern Wushu guy and he was an athlete that trained Taolu, forms for performance, there are still Chinese martial arts movements, specifically Ta Chuan movements in Chang Chuan. So I'm gonna prove that. A lot of people ask, you say that, modern Wushu came from traditional Wushu. How do you know that? Well, I know because I can actually see it. So I'm going to draw some
The
comparisons.
recorded practitioner of this style was the warrior general Sha Liang.
Right
After
there?
General Sha
Right there. This one right here?
arts. It originated in Guan County of the province of Shandong during the reign of Qing Emperor. So by the 1930s, Ta Chuan had already spread all across China. It is said amongst Chinese martial arts. Zhang Wenguang, He.
There's even the newest Changquan compulsory went back to using Changquan movements again. That is the current international compulsory routine that everybody has to know if they're going to compete in Changquan.
Wow.
Most recently, for the U.S. Wushu team trials, they're requiring you to, if you want to compete in Changquan events, you have to compete in this compulsory and your own personal form. So that sucks. To their credit, the people that made this form, there are a lot of problems with the way they made it. A lot of people complain that, oh, this form is not pretty, it doesn't flow a lot. But to their credit, they actually brought back some actual Chinese martial arts movements, which were real techniques with real martial applications and fighting ideas. So in my opinion, that's a good thing. Because they want to, people have been criticizing modern Wushu for just being dance and Taolu for being just too flashy specifically. And they said that all the original Chinese martial arts content is gone. And it bothers me that they say that, but at the same time, not really, because I know that it exists. And this is the prime example of it today. So just to drive the point in, I'm just going to show some of the same movements again. Just to show, this is obviously, if you recognize, this form is composed mostly of Ta Chuan techniques, which is what you see here. Yes, you know.
Ta Chuan is one of the dominant styles of traditional Chinese martial arts.
Here. Lock up.
Originated in Guan County of the province of Shandong during the reign of Qing Emperor Yongzheng, which was from 1723 to 1735. The earliest recorded
that last part was an embellishment. They standardized that and took that and changed it.
practitioner of this style.
I don't know why they did that, but that's just how they did it.
Zhang Wenguang, He. Hang Ling Tai. In 1928, the China Central Martial Arts Association. So by the 1930s, Ta Chuan had already spread all across China. It is said amongst Chinese martial arts.
Okay. So, that's basically my point, and that's my proof. The difference between the way that modern Wushu Taolu is standardized is that they simplify the movements, whereas traditional Ta Chuan styles have their own specific way of doing it, and they have a reason for moving the way they do. So that's really the main difference between modern and traditional styles. However, how many of you guys know jiayuwushu.com? You know, jiayu with the 2 O's? I wrote about 40-some articles for them, and it's been posted publicly on their website. It's basically it's shared worldwide across the web, and they asked me to write my opinions. And what I did was I actually, not to say it's a dissertation, but my thesis, if I can say that, with every article. And the reason why I say that is because people that talk to me is like, shit, man, you might as well be writing a dissertation. You write 5 to 7 pages on average for every fucking article. And but my main point has always been that even though modern Wushu is sport and it's not on the same level as traditional Gongfu, it should still retain some of that martial content, some of that traditional depth. And I see it here, and that's actually how I try to teach it. I don't try to teach like most Wushu coaches do, where they just like, oh, just learn the form and that's it. Because I don't agree with that personally. I think that's pretty stupid. You're not really learning martial arts, you're just learning dance. I like to teach the movement, I like to teach what the martial application is, and I like to explain why it's being done and how it helps you move your body and help you understand your body. So that's just one side of martial arts. Then there's the martial applications, you know, the fighting ideas, what is the actual fighting, the attack and defense meaning behind it. And here are some applications. I believe some of you saw this near the end of the last viewing party. Some of you that have been here before, that were here last time, you should remember this.
Oh.
Anybody here any Japanese?
Mike.
Like, do your job. Look for cognates.
Is it Korean?
No, it's like Chinese.
Like, I can't read it. I'm sure Kat can.
It's kanji, right?
What are you talking about? I just see squiggles.
Sounds pretty racist.
I see
That's
four.
number
Me too.
four.
Yeah, you stand still while I keep reading.
Okay, so that was basically my point. So basically from here, it's pretty much free reign. Anybody want to see something?
I do. You mentioned before that there was a video of like a Muslim practitioner of Chachin next to Jet Li or something like that. I think you mentioned form being done side by side. I can't remember the name of the gentleman at the moment, but you said it was your personal hero, so I'm sure that you know who.
So what's your question?
You said there is a video, and
He
you,
wants to watch it.
I would like to see the video that you mentioned.
Yeah, but what's your question?
Can we watch the video?
Can we watch this video?
Of who?
You have to.
Oh, come on now.
Can I get it? Can I get it in the form of a question, please?
Why do you want to see the whole thing?
I want to see it.
Mostly because I wanted to see the difference between the two practitioners. And,
Which two practitioners?
oh, come on now.
No, just tell me seriously.
Oh.
I don't know.
I remember.
Is it in the video?
Yes, Jet Li is the other gentleman's name that I can't remember. I'm very bad.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I
Did
don't.
you just ask me to compare my hero and Jet Li?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay. So here's what's gonna happen.
Wait, no, I have a real question. Can you talk about Southern?
You did.
I did a little bit, but I didn't show a video last time, but I'll get to his question first. So basically, I was just playing with Andrew. Last night he actually asked me, he actually asked me who was better, my hero, my Wushu hero, my idol, or Jet Li. Guess who I said was better?
Jackie Chan.
This was about a half-hour conversation.
Okay, so here's the thing. This man's name is Zhao Changjun, and he's basically my hero for multiple reasons. Not the least of which is that he was a Wushu Taolu champion, he was a forms champion. And only one other person has ever challenged his winning record. He is the athlete that has won the most gold medals in China. And only one other person has ever challenged his record, and that's Jet Li. Now, there's a reason for that. There's a saying that goes in Wushu circles that say, the 70s belonged to Jet, and the 80s belonged to Zhao Changjun. Because those were the times, those were the decades where they dominated on the Taolu competitions. So, here's the thing though. Zhao Changjun and Jet Li were both competing against each other in the 70s. and they were rivals. Jet Li always got first. Zhao Tangjun always got second. It's pretty, well, that's just the way it is, okay? Now, of course, because Jet Li got first, he's advertised as being, the Wushu champion, right? But there are a lot of people that dispute that when they see Zhao Tangjun and Jet Li side by side. The reason why is because Jet Li was Beijing Wushu team. He was one of the first members of the Beijing Wushu team, the most famous, world famous Wushu team that tours around and performs. And the thing about that, I probably shouldn't be saying this because my old Wushu coach of the Wushu school I used to go to, she was one of the first generation Beijing Wushu team members, which means that she trained alongside Jet. And they knew each other, and they grew up together, and they trained together. So I shouldn't be saying this, but in my opinion, Zhao Tangjun is better. I think Zhao Tangjun is better than Jet Li. That's just my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that Zhao Tangjun is the be-all and end-all of Wushu, or that he's really better than Jet Li, even though he is. But it is my opinion that I think Zhao Tangjun is better, and I think that he's a better Wushu martial artist for multiple reasons. The first of which is that I happen to believe that he's a better performer, and I'm going to show you why. Okay. So, here. I start this one.
We all have to, yeah.
All right, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to show you first Jet Li's performance with Fun, or staff, in the style of Changchun. And this was when his first movie, Shaolin Temple, was being marketed, and he was basically touring around with the whole crew, which were all Wushu athletes. And this is them in Japan, and they all performed. And this is one of the rare clips where you actually see Jet Li doing actual Wushu without any tricks or any CGI or wire works like he did in more recent days. So. That's it. That was Jet Li. And this is Zhao Tangjun. This is my hero.
This is cool. Yeah, this is better.
I can't pinpoint the exact place where his staff performance is, but this is basically an excerpt of the Shaolin Temple movie which is Jet Li's first movie. It's the one that he was promoting in that clip where he was performing.
We're all laughing because we just get the joke right.
Here we go.
Was this part of the video?
Like, but it's Who do you think was better? And this is it's okay. This is your honest opinion. Who do you think was better? I'm not going to judge you for it. I mean, I am. But I'm
They were both so much better than me that I have no right to
Show us Jet Li on the carpet in silks, and that's a better comparison. Because like they compared like a thing where he was like
doing a couple random jumps for
Yeah.
Japanese people.
But okay, which clip?
it wasn't fast enough, and it wasn't like I don't know. It just wasn't the same.
This clip is definitely better for the random ones that laugh.
Okay, which clip are you referring to that I should have
Yeah,
shown?
now.
It's like if
Okay.
there's a clip of like Jet Li in competition on a carpet.
There's only
in silks.
one, and it's not a good comparison because it's not the same event.
Okay.
Here's what happened, okay? Jet Li, for some reason, retired from competition when he made that move. And there are numerous rumors why. The most popular one I've heard is that Jet Li injured himself. He had a knee injury at like age 19 or something. But he made this movie when he was 14. This movie was released in 1982. The documentary with Zhao Changjun, My Hero, was released in 1983. So that movie was already out and he was already performing. And still performing. He still should have been good. After all, he's the champion, isn't he? So he should have been performing in tip-top shape by the time he was going around and by the time he retired. Now, there are a lot of people that say, oh, well, he injured himself so he can't perform as well. Well, Jackie Chan broke literally 100 bones in his body and he can still perform in his prime. And now, another thing is that he supposed, and this is only one thing I've heard, I can't confirm it, but when I was in Shichahai, the Beijing Shichahai Sports School, which is the home of the Beijing Wushu team, which is where they train, I heard from one of the people that I train with, his name is Hao Hao. He trains at Turk Wushu right now, and we used to train together at our old Wushu school. He said that he thought that Jet Li apparently got in a fight with Shichahai. So apparently there were some disputes between him and the school that he was at, and he left to make his movie career. Now that's a rumor. I don't know if that's true. I'm not gonna talk shit and say that that's really what happened. But that's a rumor, and I don't know if it's true or not. But here's the thing. I decided to choose this clip because this is the closest comparison. This is the closest comparison I can find where these two are around the same age, around the same time, and they've actually been performing at the same relative time period. So here's the thing. There's only one clip of Jet Li doing competition, and it's him doing Changquan. And that's when he was back in 1978. Okay? One clip of him doing competition. Supposedly he's the champion of Wushu, yet there's only one clip. Again, my opinion, and again, it's just my opinion, that people should prove themselves to be called the champion. You look at all the other champions of Wushu, Yuan Wenqing, Zhao Changjun, Zhao Bangjun, they all have clips of them winning championships. Yet Jet Li does not. Why? It's pretty funny, isn't it? Now, I mean, maybe there's no reason for it. Maybe there's like, oh, we just can't find the video. But there were clearly full-color videos at that time. Yet for some reason, there's only one clip of him. Why is that? Yet there's so many clips of Zhao Changjun performing at his best and winning. The reason why I chose these two clips is because I wanted to prove a point. But before I do that, I'm going to ask again, who do you think was better?
The second guy.
Why?
It looked like he went into the entire thing with an intensity when Jet Li sort of looked almost like he warmed up into it.
Why?
Well, he was slower at the beginning, and I have no idea why. I'm obviously not anywhere near that level.
So, well, first of all, to be respectful, with all due respect, I'm kind of giving Jet Li a bunch of shit. Which is funny, because he used to be my hero when I was younger, and then when I matured, I found out there were a bunch of people that I found to be better than Jet Li. But that's just my opinion, okay? That doesn't mean that Jet Li's bad. He's really, really good. He had to be champion for a reason. He had to be good, right? But with him and Zhao Changjun, Jet Li always got first. And there were actually some people that did think, yes, Zhao Changjun was better. Yet Jet Li always got first. Well, it's important to note that this was in China, where there are politics and corruption. Okay, people won't say that publicly, but it's pretty much one of those open secrets. They know that there's politics, and if you go to any Wushu competition, any high-profile Wushu competition, I guarantee you will find objective proof, not stated specifically public proof, but you will find objective proof that there is corruption and politics in Wushu competitions. And because Beijing was the capital of China, of course the Beijing Wushu team was number one, the most well-equipped and the best funded by far of all the Wushu teams across China. Of course they were the best prepared. And Jet Li was their star athlete. And he always got first. There's no explicit reason why, but for some reason he always won. And you notice that there's a trend. If you don't take my word for it, if you go through the whole history of the Beijing Wushu team's competitive career, look at all their star athletes. If you look at Zhao Xingjian, and right now Wang Xi is the most current star athlete of the Beijing Wushu team. And I actually had the privilege of meeting Wang Xi in Shizhai, which is the summer of 2010. He's actually one of my favorite athletes. Yet, he's winning now. He's the current champion in his divisions where he competes. But there are people that say, oh, there are other people better than Wang Xi, that think that they're better and that they should win, yet they don't, and Wang Xi always wins. People always say it's because these people are Beijing Wushu team, and they have politics. Now, that can't be proven. Why? Because it's China. That's just a fact, okay? And you could say, hey, that's good or bad, but that's just how it is. There are always certain people that are groomed to be champions and always win. Zhao Changjun, I believe, deserved to be the champion at the time, but for some reason, politics got in the way and he didn't get that opportunity. Until Jet Li went off to make movies and become famous, and Zhao Changjun persevered and continued to be better and better and better. That's just my opinion. The reason why I chose those two clips is because that's literally around the same time they were performing. And Jet Li was making his movies, and Zhao Changjun was still winning competitions and actually proving himself. Yet in my opinion, if I see those two side by side, I'm going to say that Zhao Changjun is better. Now, I'm not saying that he should win in front of Jet Li, because I'm not a judge. I'm just an athlete, I'm a fan, I have my own opinion, that's it. Yet, I think that Zhao Changjun is better because it's just my opinion, and I'm not saying that Jet Li is bad. But I'm saying that when I see Zhao Changjun perform, I see him actually perform with intensity and ferocity that has been unmatched to this day by any Wushu athlete ever in the world. That's why I believe that he should have won. When he was with Jet Li, I mean, granted, when Jet Li left, the venue was open for Zhao Changjun. He started winning everything that was around. Because no one else was above him. Only Jet Li was. Only Jet Li was in his way. So then, of course, Zhao Changjun became the champion that I believe he deserved to be. So that's the first reason that I believe that Zhao Changjun is better than Jet Li, because he's a better Taolu performer. Purely a good Wushu performer. The second reason I think that Zhao Changjun is better than Jet Li, and people might be butthurt of me saying this, but I think that Zhao Changjun is actually a martial artist, a legit martial artist, as opposed to most of the Taolu athletes today, the forms athletes in modern Wushu today, that only know the forms, but don't know the applications and don't train how to fight. That's the biggest criticism of modern Wushu, that you know how to do your forms and you know how to make them look pretty and you know how to perform, but you don't know the martial meaning, you don't know the traditional martial art movements, you don't know how to fight. And the Beijing Wushu team has been criticized for being the epitome of this. They've been groomed to be top performers. Even Donnie Yen, when Donnie Yen went to train with the Beijing Wushu team, he said that they're like circus performers. They're like Beijing opera. They only know how to perform. They don't really know how to fight. They don't really have martial intent. They're not real martial artists to me. And that's why he said he lost interest in Wushu, because he said, oh, Wushu is not the answer to martial arts. What's up?
Do they do that to avoid getting injured from being in sparring or anything like that?
No, they just do that because they're forms athletes. They compete to perform.
Right,
They don't
but I'm
compete to
saying,
fight.
like, if they wanted to not be injured all the time.
Like,
if they were sparring and, like, actually doing
they don't
combat.
spar.
Right, no, but what I'm saying is, like, if they actually train the martial aspect, I feel like they would be more injured and they wouldn't be able to perform as well.
That's not true, because Zhao Changjun did that. Here's the thing. They were Taolu athletes. That's not their fault that they don't know how to fight. It kind of is, but it's really not, because they're raised by the government, the Chinese Communist government, to just be performers. They raise you to do your job, and that's all you're supposed to do. They were Taolu athletes, so it's not their fault. But the fact is that shortcoming, that they don't necessarily understand the martial arts aspects, are there. Now, I'm not saying that. That's the criticism that people have thrown at them, and most modern Wushu athletes. But Zhao Changjun for sure can be the exception. Why? Because he's the actual martial artist. He actually learned traditional Wushu. Guess what he learned? He learned Chachuan and he learned Tantai. And not only did he learn the traditional martial art, if you were to ask him, hey, how do you qualify Wushu as a martial art? How do you use this movement to fight? What is the attack and defensive tension of this technique? What's the idea behind it? What's the fighting idea behind it? He can answer you. And so can his coach. They can all answer you in a legit way and not bullshit it. Oh, it's just, Wushu is about the art. It's just the style. It's really about the athlete and the performer and the individual, not the style. Which is kind of a childish excuse to escape the fact that Wushu lacks martial content. But Zhao Zhongjun, in my opinion, is the exception. And I like him for that. Because he went past that shortcoming and he was able to become a complete Chinese martial artist, not just a Wushu athlete. Not only that, but he had to learn the traditional martial art because he had to learn how to fight. Legit learn how to fight for real. Why? Because his dad, who was a Muslim, okay, they were Hui people, as we mentioned before. He's a Hui ethnic minority. His dad wanted him to learn actual, real Chinese martial arts, real Gongfu, real Kung Fu, to protect his sisters. Now, I believe that, because this was during a little bit after the Cultural Revolution in China, when the communists rose up and Chairman Mao Zedong came up, and a lot of people were dying because of the conflict, because of the political conflict at that time. So it was very, very violent. I'm inclined to believe that he actually did have to protect himself. Now, whether or not the details of those fights happened, of course, we don't know for sure, that those were never documented. But he did have to learn for that reason. At the time, he was never raised to be a Wushu champion. He was raised for one reason and one reason only. He learned martial arts to be able to fight, to be able to understand the original meaning of Chinese martial arts. And on top of that, he became a top Wushu performer. So he embodied all these aspects. And not only that, I think that the final reason that I believe that Zhao Zhongjun is better than Jet Li, or is at least a better martial artist, is because he actually justifies and can qualify Wushu as a martial art on his own, not just be a performer. Again, as I pointed out before, a lot of Taolu athletes, 99% of the people, including the people in the US, only know forms and only know how to perform. That's their shortcoming, that they don't understand the martial aspect, and if they do, they don't know how to apply it. But Zhao Zhongjun is different. I feel like he embodies all the good parts of Wushu because he can back it up. He actually did fight, and he won. Now, these are secondhand accounts, though. They are stories, but I believe them because it makes sense. So, in my opinion, I think that Zhao Zhongjun is better. And the biggest reason, actually, I think that Zhao Zhongjun is better is because he actually is a thinker for Wushu. He actually is not just a fighter or a martial artist, not just an athlete. Most other people in Wushu today are athletes. I can't, in my opinion, just my opinion again, just my opinion, you can't qualify them as martial artists because most of them are just Taolu people. They just know how to perform. That's it. They don't know the fighting aspect. And if they do, again, they can't apply because they don't train it. That's not their fault, but that is a shortcoming and it does exist. But Zhao Zhongjun is not like that. He is a fighter, he's a martial artist, and most importantly, he's, I could say, a scholar of Wushu. He thinks about the problems of Wushu. He's spoken out about the problems of Wushu. Oh, why do you have to do Nandu nowadays? You have to be able to jump, and if you fail that jump, even though you're a better performer, you lose in the competition. Does that make sense? And he also says that most of Wushu, ever since it tried to go Olympic, has lost its original martial roots because it wanted to be a sport. It wanted to be successful. And therefore, it failed to become a legitimate martial art. And you know what? I agree with that. So in my opinion, Zhao Zhongjun is the epitome of Wushu. Now, so some of you are probably thinking, oh man, this guy idolizes this guy. You're right, I do. I put this guy on a pedestal because he, in my opinion, embodies every great aspect of a Wushu martial artist. And in my opinion, he's the best for Wushu. There's no one else like him. He embodies all the good aspects, modern, traditional, all of it. He even said that if you want to become a true Wushu expert, you should learn Taolu and Sanshou. Not just forms, but also sparring. He said that it's not good if you only know one method and do not know anything about the other application or other method. That's like walking with one leg, not two. You only know the forms, but you don't know how to apply them. You only know how to perform, but you don't know how to fight. Can you call yourself a martial artist if you don't know the martial part of martial arts? Isn't that what Wushu means? Wushu, martial art. Where's the martial part? He also said that you should learn that there is modern and traditional. You need two legs to walk. One is modern, one is traditional. You cannot give up one of them. He actually says that there is a place in modern Wushu as a part of Chinese martial arts culture. And because he said that, I actually, I believe that he really, truly knows the most about Wushu. And I look up to that. He's not just an athlete, he's everything. A master, a performer, a student. You know, when he said, I really loved his words. I really started to love this guy, not because he was a performer. Anybody could be a good performer. In fact, you could argue that there are better performers than him. And that's fine, that's your opinion. But he's also a thinker, okay? He is a master, he knows, okay? And he wasn't given that title. But I call him a master because he earned it. He proved himself. Again, my opinion is you have to prove yourself, okay? So, for me, I think that Cao Zhangjun is really the best. For that reason. So, again, that's just my opinion. A lot of you are probably thinking, oh, he's giving Jet Li some shit. But, I'm not saying that, again, I'm not saying that Jet Li is bad. He's obviously very good. But I like Cao Zhangjun more. Yeah, that's basically it. The funny thing is that the funny thing is that I was actually one of my close friends told me that he said that, oh, Daniel is better than Jet Li, and I was like, hey, you know what? You're right. I mean, in my opinion, Daniel is a better martial artist than Jet Li. That doesn't mean that Jet Li is bad. I just think that there are other people better than Jet Li. But that's just my opinion. That doesn't mean that it's true. It's subjective. So that's how it is. Anyways, that's it.